Wow. 4-0. Newcastle win 4-0 out in Belgium. I tell you what, you talk about going to that Barcelona game, first game of the Champions League. The pressure was on, but it was Barcelona. And we knew it was going to be tough. We didn't get it over the line. It's like, yeah, it's Barcelona. We'll move on. We'll win the next one. The days start coming along. You know, a tough loss against Arsenal at the weekend. Out in Belgium today against... Were they unbeaten in the league? They certainly won their first game in the Champions League against PSV 3-4-1. So we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We smashed them today. I am buzzing. Eddie Howe's team, the Eddie Howe side that we know, a lot of the time is based on confidence. And we've struggled so far this season to kind of get from one game into the next game. Yes, we beat Bradford, but then we lost against Arsenal. We're just chugging away at the moment. I think it was really important not just to get some points on the board for this Champions League table, but to just grab that little bit of confidence. I think there were certain players in that team today who could really use that boost, and I'm really hoping they got it today. Thoughts and comments down below. Who was your man of the match? Down in the comments below. We will go through the goals, the players in this video, and we'll start off with the first goal. Well, was it Tonali or was it Nick Woltemade? I have to say, when I first saw it, I was like, get in Woltemade. Then I saw the replay, thought no to no own goal. Then I saw it again. I think it was eventually given to Woltemade. I think he's a player who could use... Well, does he need the confidence? I don't know. He's already scored 2 goals. He gets his 3rd Newcastle goal tonight. You know, all of the talk, social media, in the news or word of mouth or whatever, is, you know, he's struggling to fit the system. Newcastle are trying to get him to work. I'll tell you what, from what I've seen, he scores the goals when he gets a chance. Fair enough, it was a bit of magic. Maybe it was that a little bit of magic that we needed. Because, in fairness, we did beat them 4-0. I thought we were good without it. We scored 2 penalties. On paper, when the draw came out, this was the game we should have been winning. So we'll take all of that into account. But I think it was important that we got the early goal. Like, don't get me wrong, defensively I thought we were strong. I thought Botman was great, Chow was great. The pair of them at the back have pace. Dan Burn left back, you know what? We didn't concede and we won 4-0. So I'm not really going to say... He got megged a couple of times, he got ran round a couple of times. It's just not his position, you know? But it worked. We got there. Is it because he doesn't like to drop Burn? I don't know. Would I have rather it was Hall who started today at left back? Probably. But having said that, he got us through the game. And I just think a few times when someone got round him, Botman or Chow straight over, just having that little bit of extra pace at the back with them two, it makes a big difference. But yes, pushing forward, Woltemade gets the flick, gets the goal, and it gets us kick-started into this game. And as I say, the man who has, you know, had questions asked about him fitting into this side, does it again and gets us off on a good start. Fast forward, Elanga. The front three, Elanga, Gordon, Woltemade. Elanga gets an assist, Gordon gets 2 goals, Woltemade gets a goal. Is that the first time we've started all 3 of them in a game together? Quite possibly. Elanga created a lot down that right-hand side. I think there's still something to be said for its end product. I think a lot of kind of balls over to the back, fired across goal, but was still clicking. But gets the ball, couple of step overs, cuts inside. I mean, their defender, I think he was sliding for about 10 minutes before he actually hit Elanga. So I think he needs to have a look at himself for that one. But we get the penalty. Gordon steps up for it. I wasn't sure that I thought it would be Gordon. I would have liked Woltemade to take it, to be honest, have the striker scoring the goals. But I mentioned players needing that little bit of confidence, and I think Gordon could really do with it. There was moments in the game where I had my head in my hands with Gordon. I feel like that's kind of been his start to the season, but you could argue it's been his start, Barnes' start, who, you know, will skip ahead. He got the goal to finish the game off and make it 4-0. He's a player that I think struggling for confidence. I thought Elanga did well, and obviously Murphy. I think all 4 of our wingers have been called into question. just this week in Eddie Howe's press conference. And Eddie Howe was honest and said, yeah, when our striker is trying to embed himself into this side, what he needs is support from around him. And I don't think our wingers or any one of those 4 players has done themselves justice so far this season. So to have Gordon score 2, Barnes get a goal, Elanga generally play quite well for me and get an assist through the penalty, ain't too bad at all. So yes, big 4 goals, big win for Newcastle. As I've mentioned, this was the game on paper that we should win. This was the game that we but it's never that easy. Beating anybody 4-0 in a Champions League game. You know, had you told me that a few years ago, I would have taken it. In terms of them getting at us, there was moments where we let them have a little bit too much of the ball. There was moments where they had a counter and got a shot on goal. Like, really, Nick, I need to look it back. I need to watch it back. If you've not guessed, I'm at the Civic Centre. So big up to everyone who did go all the way out to Belgium. I think, was there only 500 tickets sold? But the Belgium was packed with Geordies. It looked awesome. Yeah, felt very jealous. But back in Newcastle, watching the game here, watching us win 4-0 was very nice. But as I say, they were creating stuff. And there was a few moments, I think, yes, that's what I need to look back on. Getting a tongue twister in there is how many saves Nick Pope made. I think Nick Pope made a fair few saves today. They had a few that went past the post, went wide. You know, you look at the games against Liverpool, against Arsenal, against Barcelona, where you get punished for that. I think we did well lucky. I don't want to use the word lucky. I think I'm glad we weren't punished for those chances. I mean, maybe when it's, you know, Lewandowski or, God forbid, Rashford running towards the goal, you've got to get on them, you've got to pressure them. There was moments today where we kind of let them come through and, you know, they put it wide or Nick Pope saved it. You know, some of that we could definitely do better, like pressure on the ball. I think when we went in 2-0 at half time and they started to get a little bit of momentum, Pope made a save, the ball went wide. You know, if they had got a goal then, I think it could have really got spicy. But the other side of that one is Newcastle scored early in the first half. How often do we go 1-0 up and then concede before half-time or concede just in the second half? We didn't do that today. We didn't. Bear in mind it was penalties, but still we made those penalties. Elanga got the pen, Gordon scored it. Going in at 2-0, we'll come out second half. They build a little bit of momentum, and then we get a handball decision, which I think it was handball. He had time to move his arm away. It was touch and go. I think I would be slightly disappointed if it happened to us. But bearing in mind what happened, you know, where was I stood? I wasn't stood too far away from here when I was complaining that Tino got the penalty against him in PSG. So Champions League, I think that is given a penalty. And then, as I mentioned, Asula, another man who I think could use the confidence, which I think a lot of our team could, holds the ball up great going forward and just slides it into Barnes for a tidy finish at the near post. So there you go. That is my quick reaction review of the game. Man of the match, Gordon scored 2 penalties. I'm really hoping that Gordon kind of grabs it, you know, by the scruff of the neck, and we'll see a little bit of Gordon of old. I don't know what it's been this season, but I just feel like he hasn't quite clicked. I'm really hoping it works for him. I thought Woltemade was great. I'm tempted to give it to him. I thought Tonali really ran the midfield today, and but when you win 4-0, you can't give it to the back line, although they were great. Maybe I will give it to Tonali. I was going to give it to Woltemade, but he scored his goal and then he came off early. So yeah, Tonali was my man of the match today. You let me know yours down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. We will be back be back out in Newcastle again this weekend as we take on Nottingham Forest on Sunday. I'm hoping that this game will be again a little bit of an ignite for Newcastle now, the ignition that we need to start trying to kick on and get a little bit of a roll. It's been a frustrating start, it's been a tough start, but like on paper, you know, it was Liverpool, it was Arsenal, it was Barcelona, you know. Let's cut ourselves a little bit of slack. We are still kind of getting to grips with what is a different type of striker in Woltemade, but he's putting the ball in the back of the net. And what we needed was support for him from other players, getting goals, getting assists, making things happen. And we saw that, as I mentioned, from Elanga, from Gordon, from Barnes. We need them and Murphy to kick on and then not rely so heavily on a striker still embedding himself into the team. And if we play like that every week, we'll be great. Tighten it down a little bit on not letting them have as much of the ball. But otherwise, chuffed to bits with that one. Thoughts and comments, man of the match down below. Yeah, stick around for more videos. We'll see what happens this week leading into the weekend. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your rest of the week, and I'll catch you later.